let's move on to how does this deck actually combos. So basically, I don't need to show anyone the right combos. It's very simple. All you're really ever doing with the Brave Engine, other than just putting up Griffin, is you'll use Fateful Adventure to chain block your Link 1. But generally, all you ever need to actually combo, assuming no hand traps, is just any way to seed. Doesn't matter if it's normal or special summon. So when you normal summon seed or special summon, you just Link 1 into Dryas. When Dryas comes out, it just searches any Sunbind spell or trap from your deck to your hand. So you add this actually just absurd card called Sunbind Sowing. When you play it, you get to specially Sunbind from your deck, and then you take 1,000 damage. You have to special Twin. Since you take damage, Dryas' other effect triggers, and it lets you special summon a Link from your extra deck, and you gain back whatever damage you took. And then Twin's effect, when you get special summon or normal summon while you control SUNAVALON, you get to special summon back Seed from your graveyard. And then Healer makes you go up 300 life when it comes out. It gains 300 times the Link level summon. So now just off this one card, you're already up +3. Then you Link 2 for Jasmine. This card's just Lone Fire, so it's broke. Use Jasmine's effect, and you tribute special. Jasmine once per turn contribute 1 monster it points to, and special summon 1 plant from your deck in defense. You just add special summon Marjoram. When Marjoram comes out, you can add any plant monster from your deck to your hand. So you just add Laurel. And then Laurel, if it's in your hand while your life is higher than your opponent's, you can just special summon it. And then when it goes from field to grave, you gain 500 life points. So you link the Marjoram and the Laurel into a second Jasmine. Then Laurel's effect gains 500, which triggers both Jasmine's effect to search, because only the tribute to special effect is a hard once per turn. Everything else is a soft once per turn. Now, you can usually do a couple different things here if you open Unexpected Die, because you have a couple more extenders and you can normal summon. And depending on if you open right or not, like you can search Lone Fire and do stuff. But assuming you normal summon Seed and you don't have anything else here, the generic combo is just to link these two into Melius. When Melius comes out, it just gets to special summon a Sunseed Genius Loci from your graveyard. And then you just do it again, because Melius is broken, and it's not once per turn whatsoever. And then you just bring this back again, and then you link into another copy of Dryas, because Dryas is also not once per turn. It's just only once while in the extra monster zone, soft once per turn, you can search. So as long as you clear it away, and then just like do it again, you just go hella plus. So you add Shrine. Shrine is a continuous spell. To activate it, you just pitch any card from your deck to your, or from your grave to your hand, from your hand to your grave. And then once per turn, it lets you special summon a level 4 lower plant normal monster from your graveyard. Then, while it's on the field, you're locked into plants. And then during your opponent's end phase, you can send it to the graveyard to set a continuous trap. Most of the time, that last effect doesn't come up. But every once in a while, people pop like your Blessed Winds, because it's your recursion. But they also just always forget about this effect, because this card's usually just sitting here. So then you just get Blessed Winds back in the end phase anyway, and it just doesn't even matter. So you get this, and when you activate it, you pitch Carrot Weight from your hand. Then you link these two here into Bengal Lancer. So he lets you quick effect target one monster on the field, one effect monster on your opponent's field, bounce it to the hand, and you take damage equal to its attack. And then while it's in the graveyard, you can banish plant links up to a total of 4 to special summon it back, and it gets banished when it leaves the field. You can only use 1 effect per turn, but that's just fine. Like half the time, you're just summoning on your turn and then bouncing stuff on your opponent's. Or like this first turn, you just don't even need to use either effect. So then you use Shrine's effect here. You bring back Seed again. And you link 1 into the third Dryas. So now you can either, you have 2 options. You can either add a second copy of Sowing, which will like just give you recursion for the second turn, and you'll just like be able to play the game. Or if you're like trying to do some really fancy combo, you can use like Crossbreed. Crossbreed just lets you tribute a plant link monster and special summon any plant monster from your graveyard, and its effects are negated. So a lot of times if you get stopped somewhere, you can bring back like a tuner later in the game. Or you can just bring back like really big dudes. Like you can just bring back Mardell for 2,400 off like any of the seeds. And so that just applies a shit ton of pressure in the late game. Because especially if you have like just these two, you just keep bopping them. But usually I just add Sowing. I think it's just like better to have the follow-up. So then you use Melius and this into the last Link 4 that you play. So when he comes out, like I said, you add Bloom from your deck to your hand. So now you just have the Dark Ruler for your opponent's turn. And then while he's on the field, he can't be targeted for attacks or destroyed by card effects. Then he still has like the Tribute the Link to pop cards. So they like have to deal with this card, and if they just leave it up, they get all their shit blown up on turn 2. But they also can't attack over it, so it's just a very hard card to deal with. So then this is your hand. Finally, you use Carrot Weight's Effect Engrave. You use pitch any plant monster to add it back, or to special summon it. And then Spore's effect lets you banish a plant from grave. Generally, with Spore, you want to banish second copy of Seed if you have 2 in there. Because like you only need 1 seed in grave to play the game. But you can banish Laurel. Laurel only comes up because like if you banish it, since you only play 1, you don't ever get to recur it. But it's normally not that big of a deal. It maybe comes up like 1 in 100 games where you needed that Laurel. And then you synchro these 2 into Marjoram. So your placement with all your cards matters a lot because of Bloom's gain attack effect. So like you want all of these to be pointing to each other. That way when they attack into one of them, they can go up a lot of attack. Marjoram can't be, but the other 2 can. And then you should probably summon the Marjoram in defense turn 1 too, so you just don't lose the Lightning Storm. Still has 2k defense, which is just fine. And then when Marjoram comes out, it searches for another trap card. It searches for Blessed Winds. And so since Marjoram gains life whenever you do this, now you just like have a pop on your opponent's turn, a bounce of their effect monster, and a negate. And like generally, most decks in this format are not doing more than 2 to 3 things per turn. But if you also opened up Brave cards and they didn't have a hand trap, then you have a Griffin Rider negate as well. And usually you're opening both. You play a lot of copies of both of them, so it's not that hard to see. You also have options to hit like any hand trap or droll and like just really oppress the game. But generally this is the basic combo. The other combo that comes up a lot is like if you open something like Rose Girl and I don't know, just a bad plant like Twin. Sometimes you can use these 2 to make Mardell. I'm gonna make Jasmine. And from there, you'll Jasmine effect, and you need to like open either another plant extender here, or have to open right. Opening right is usually the worst outcome because it means that you have to tribute off your card and you don't get any like anything from it. You don't get your Griffin Rider negate or anything used any hand trap. It's generally not ideal, but when you do it, you'll just tribute off the token and then special summon Lone Fire from your deck. And then Lone Fire tributes off the Jasmine to get to the seed because you really just can't do anything without the seed. So on this line, you don't get to everything generally, but you usually get to at least the 2 Link 4s. And if you have extenders in your hand, sometimes you can get to the synchro as well. In the matchup I played on stream, game 1, I was supposed to have all 3, but I played my cards out of order. But it is possible to like do it, even when you open like this. It's just not ideal. Finally, the only other thing I want to touch on is Sowing's protection effect. This also comes up a lot. It just banishes itself from the grave to protect any link monster, any plant link. So a lot of times when they're trying to run over one of your dudes in battle with like a nib or something else big, you just let it crash and it's just fine. Or you can swing any of like the little guys like this one in, and then you just take the damage and protect it, and then Dryas's effect just special summons one. And so you can do that a lot. And you can do tricky things like in the damage step. Like if you have Marjoram and then Dryas, you can just swing Dryas in. When you take the damage, banish Sowing to protect it and summon Healer. Then since Dryas gained life, Marjoram is mandatory Chain Link 1, and then Healer is Chain Link 2 to gain life. So you'll end up popping a card in their damage step, and a lot of times they don't even think about this. But generally, that's pretty much all the deck does. A lot of the wins came from people not knowing where to hand trap the deck or not knowing what to do. There's a couple other different combos you can do as well. If you play the Jasmine in the main deck and Cactus Bouncer, you can just lock people out of the game. Just usually through, I think just Seed does it, or it might be Seed and Extender. But generally, I think this is better than that version or the U-board version. Because it just gives you the most follow-up, and like you don't need to U-board in this format. But yeah, that's the deck profile. Oh, shout-outs to Team Ape and all the boys that came with today except Darian. Darian was trying to convince me to play striker, and that deck's bad.
That's not even true.
That deck's horrible. So everyone else, thanks for the support. That's it.
I'm gonna go play this deck. That's wild.
Bro, Gaslighting Simulator is crazy.